I want to share a thought about why I read and why I'm always making such an emphatic point that reading great literature is a huge potential value for everyone. This particular point occurred to me when I was preparing a lesson plan for Shane by Jack Schafer, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and I think an underappreciated classic. So if you haven't read it, get to it. I'll get to the point I wanted to make by way of a quick story. Recently, my daughter and I were attending a conference, and we had dinner with a young woman that she had never met before. This young woman was interesting, accomplished, talented, all things you could say about my daughter too. But the fascinating thing was that over the course of the dinner, my daughter felt like she had absolutely nothing to say to her. No words or thoughts would come. And she left the experience feeling kind of anxious and insecure, like there was something wrong with her. She was a bad conversationalist, but there was just something about being around this woman that brought nothing out of her. So the really interesting thing was that a few hours later, we ran into a friend of mine in the lobby of the hotel and sat down to talk to him. And with him, it was as if the words couldn't come fast enough for her. She had so much to share and so much to say. So this is an experience that I'm sure is familiar to everyone in a vague, kind of indefined way. But for me, the way it became more defined and clear and retainable as a human experience was by reading literature. The first thing that experience makes me think of is actually a simple children's poem that we often teach our students at VanDamme Academy. It's by Rachel Field, and it goes like this. Isn't it strange some people make you feel so tired inside, your thoughts begin to shrivel up like leaves all brown and dried. But when you're with some other ones, it's stranger still to find your thoughts as thick as fireflies, all shiny in your mind. Simple, sweet, but also so useful to have as a metaphor. I can't tell you how many times I've thought of that poem over the years when I'm in one or the other of those situations, either feeling like my thoughts are all dried up like leaves or like they're like shining fireflies all abuzz in my mind. Now, what it is about someone that gives you this feeling about them, either like you have a desperate eagerness to share yourself with them, or you feel kind of shriveled up inside, I don't think is always clear or obvious or tangible. It's not just about shared values, it's not just about common interests, it's not about intellectual compatibility. It's something more general and more fundamental to the human spirit. And that's what I thought of when I read this line in Shane. So in Shane, the characters Joe and Shane become the greatest of friends almost at first sight. And this is describing how that happened. Something in Father, something not of words or of actions, but of the essential substance of the human spirit, had reached out and spoken to him, and he had replied to it and had unlocked a part of himself to us. I hope that's an experience that everyone has had with someone at some point, but probably you've never conceptualized it quite like that, or found the words for it as beautiful as those. And that brings us to the real line I wanted to share, which was how they, having felt this connection with each other, how they felt about life in general. It says of Joe and his wife Marion in regard to Shane, they were more alive, more vibrant, like they wanted to show more what they were when they were with him. Again, an experience I hope you have all had, and I hope it makes that experience more concrete and memorable so that you'll notice it even better the next time you have it. So maybe think about that. Who is someone who makes the thoughts shine like fireflies in your mind? I can think of a lot of people, but I'll name my friend Joanna Williams. Someone I admired from afar, had the opportunity to meet in person, And when we met, I could have talked to her for days without sleep, without eating. I could have just talked and talked and talked and been the happiest person in the world. So when you have an experience like that, remember these lines and just know that this is what literature gives you the power to do, to conceptualize, put to beautiful words, really important experiences that help you relish and notice them in everyday life.